You know, honestly, except for my diet vlogs, I rarely come on here venting about my personal life, except to those on DeviantArt, which this will also be going to. For those who don't know, I'm engaged to a man named Daniel. Daniel happens to live in England, the United Kingdom. Him and I have been dating 2.5 years this month. We have been engaged for almost a year. He proposed last year on Halloween. Last year, after meeting for the first time 9 months ago, from last year, we had planned to bring him over, and we were just so anxious to be together. We didn't fully understand the process of immigrating. Granted, our bad was not researching it, but we thought it was a fairly simple thing. God knows we should have known better. It's the U.S. government we're talking about here. You know, but as silly as it sounds, as dumb as it probably was, we weren't thinking how you actually do this. What we thought it was that we knew there were visa types, and one of them was a work visa, where a company sponsors you to work in the States. How we thought we could get that one was Dan would come here, and he had 3 months on his passport. He would look for a job, and then ask that job to sponsor him with a work visa so he could stay in the country. Our backup plan was that if he couldn't get somebody to sponsor him with a work visa, that we would get married, and we thought it was that simple so that they wouldn't kick him out of the country. As long as we were married, we thought he couldn't get kicked out of the country. So getting married within that 90-day thing, based on the passport allowance, we thought that's how that could work. Having that plan in mind, we only booked him a one-way ticket. He had to go into Philadelphia first. It wasn't a straight flight from England to Tampa. We found one of those later. So he gets into Philadelphia, which is only about a 2-hour plane ride to where I am. Dan got flagged for having the one-way ticket. Dan is an honest person, so when immigration asked him, "Do you plan to work here?" he said yes, because that was also our plan. They denied him entry into the country because of that. They said, and all they would tell him was that he didn't have the right paperwork. I got a courtesy call from them telling me, asking me, are you expecting a Daniels to come to Florida? Yeah, why? What's wrong? Is he okay? He's fine, but he won't be coming. Why won't he be coming? I can't tell you that. Why can't you tell me that? It's for your own safety. What safety? I tried all day to try to talk to somebody to understand what the fuck was going on, because nobody told me a damn thing. Nobody explained to me what was going on so that I could understand this and possibly even fix it. So instead of allowing him in and explaining anything to either of us, they make a note in his passport, tell him he is not allowed in this country anymore, ever again, unless he has a visa. And then they sent him back home. I couldn't find out a damn thing. Nobody told me anything. I wasn't able to understand anything until he got home. And that's a long flight. That's like an 11 to 13-hour flight. The amount of pain I felt was as bad as if we had broken up. Dan gets home. He tells me what happens. And we get a better understanding of what went wrong. I immediately call a lawyer to find out, can they even do this? Was that legal? Was that something they can do? The lawyer I ended up hiring, which granted again was only one person, but he called me back so quick. I'm like, well, that's got to be a good sign. He explained, yeah, technically they can do that. So the lawyer Stan told me, well, you know, I could have him here in 2 months, and I was not in the right mental and emotional state for that, because it was literally the next day. He was supposed to be here October 30th. This all happened on Halloween. And more or less this happened on Halloween. So I'm told he can get me Dan home in 2 months. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll talk to Dan. The fastest visa you can get is a fiance visa, where you're not married yet, but they're going to come over to the States to get married. So I talked to Dan, because obviously he needs to be okay with this too. And it's not that we wanted to get married, but we wanted to get married on our own terms, and doing this felt kind of a little forced. And then I end up finding out a little later that Dan was planning to propose when he had come over here anyway. So, yeah, it totally ruined a lot of things. So after talking to Dan about the visa, because I was texting him, he asked me to get on Skype. I get on Skype, and he proposed. He didn't have a ring. He didn't get on one knee. He just was on camera with me, looked right at the camera, and said, "Will you marry me?" And I got choked up, and I said yes. So I called Stan, and we set everything up for starting the proper paperwork to bring Dan here on a fiance visa. They got the paperwork day after Christmas. We waited and waited and waited and waited and did not hear anything until I think maybe March. And then I don't even remember what that was, if anything, and then come May we get a notice saying request for evidence. They wanted some more pictures of me and Dan, passport style pictures, and my lawyer drafted up affidavits from people who met Dan when he visited me that February last year, just verifying the relationship, because that is something that does happen. People do lie about being in a relationship just so somebody can either come or stay in the country. So I was fine with that. I had no problem with that. I didn't like that we had been way past the 2 months that my lawyer had promised to get Dan home by. You know, that we basically didn't hear anything for about 5 months, but whatever, it was moving. I run my ass around town and on my friends to get those affidavits signed. I scan them, I email them back to Stan right away. Stan tells me he needs the originals, fine. I sent those in the mail. Everything was done within about 2 weeks from when I had gotten the notice. June 16th, we got an email, because by then Dan and I signed up for any notices. June 16th, we get an email saying they got the affidavits, they got the requested evidence, and that a decision will be made within 60 days. Not 60 working days or business days, 60 days. And when you don't specifically say business or working days, that includes weekends. So around August 16th, should have had the decision. I guess on August 4th, they changed it and did not send out an email to me or Daniel or my lawyer, to my understanding, saying it was changed. The exact same statement about receiving evidence and will make a decision within 60 days. Nothing had changed except it went from June 16th to August 4th. I was pissed and crying, and it was just more time away from him. And This time we have to be together and try and start our lives as a family. I try and live on my lawyer's back to do something about this, and it just ends up waiting the next additional 2 months. So, rounding, that means August 16th. They should have had a decision. October 16th. Oh, I can't. No. September. No. October 4th. I can't think. October 4th is 2 months from August 4th. Stupid. October 4th. A decision should have been made. October 4th happened to have landed on a Saturday this month, so more or less it should have been October 3rd. Nothing. It's now over a week past that. And yesterday was Columbus Day, and we all know the government does not work on, like, any holiday. So Monday was a whole wasted day. As of this video, for this week, nothing. I called up my lawyer office this morning. He has one of his legal aides, a girl named Kendra, helping me out. And the poor girl just lost her boyfriend to an accident. He's dead. He's gone. So I have this poor woman who has lost her man trying to help me get mine. Not to mention the fact the poor girl hurt her knee somehow, so she's also dealing with that on top of it. So, I mean, in the rare chance she sees this, I appreciate everything you're doing, Kendra, but I could not feel more bad that you're doing this right now. And hopefully I will get some type of answer, because Stan, my lawyer, had promised me. Not only did he say this was ridiculous, which was nice to fucking hear, but he promised me that last week he was going to file something that he literally put in the phrase of putting a fire under their ass. When I called Kendra this morning and talked to her, she had been put on hold for hours to finally talk to somebody, and the best that she could gather is that it's sitting there, and the reason Dan and I are going through this shit is because they don't like our mistake a year ago. I don't know what criteria they have to go through to approve people for a fiancé visa. I wish I did. Maybe then I could understand and even maybe possibly appreciate this shit. But in the simplest form, I would imagine all you really need is to verify the relationship, which has been done, and see if they're any type of threat to the people and national security. Dan has no criminal history at all. He's never even, you know, gotten a slap on the wrist for shoplifting. Nothing. He's clean. You know? And I don't mean to sound racist in the slightest, but he's a white guy from an allied nation. It's not, and please, again, forgive me, it's not like he's from, you know, what, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those countries that we keep fighting against. You know, it's not like he's coming from there. Where it's been shown that country does have people who are trying to kill us. Whatever, if I have the countries wrong, I'm sorry. So basically, come Halloween, we've been at this shit for a year. The entire process should only take about 8 to 10 months at the most. Because after this part that I just talked about, that's not even the whole thing. After this part, where he gets approved, because there's no reason he shouldn't, it goes to another system where it gets a new number, and then it gets sent over to the American Embassy in London. And then Dan would have to run around to get a police report just saying if he has a criminal background or not, which he doesn't. And then he has to go to a doctor, only like the one doctor in the entire country that the U.S. Embassy has approved for a medical examination, which is more or less, I think, him just, you know, finding out if he has all his shots. And then that gets sent over to the U.S. Embassy, and then they contact Dan with his appointment date. And then what he has to do is get to the embassy, go to a window for something, sit down, wait 20 minutes, go to a second window, answer like anywhere from probably just 3 to 5 questions, And then that person at the window is the one who tells him, my monitor went off. That person at that window is the one who tells him if he's approved or not. And when the person at that window tells him he's approved, all he has to do is go home, wait for his passport to be mailed to him, which will have a stamp in it, which will be the visa. And the reason I know this half is because there's a wonderful site called visajourney.com that Dan and I have checked in on to try and find out how much longer is this shit supposed to take. And there's couples there from all over their different countries that are trying to do the same thing, as well as other types of visas. However, it's also a very heartbreaking sight to see, because we see couples who filed their shit after us, who are not only done with the part we're stuck in, but have already gone to have their interviews, are approved, and are planning to come here and have their marriages. You fuck up one time, and they make you suffer for it. I don't know if they have this God complex about them, or they just like fucking with people's lives. It was one fuck up. It was just a complete, utter misunderstanding. That's all it was. I will admit to not thinking about maybe doing some more research into how you immigrate to another country, but we just missed each other so much. That's all it was. You know, they don't tell you this is the shit you have to go through. And again, bad example, but this is the shit they don't tell you in movies. Every movie I see that deals with any type of immigration, all you see is that they get married, and then that means the guy can't get kicked out. Apparently I'm wrong. That's not how this shit works. You're supposed to go through all this red tape bullshit, have to put your faith in somebody in a completely other state that doesn't even know either of you, and hope to God that they bother to approve you. I am sitting here sick to my stomach and paranoid that because of one tiny misunderstanding and just missing each other so much is going to cost him the visa. And we don't know anybody in Texas. We're having to go through the Texas Service Center. There's about like 3 centers for this shit. California, Vermont, and Texas. And of course Texas seems to be the longest wait list for any type of approval. All we did was miss each other and just want to be together. That's all this was. And now we're suffering almost a year later, waiting for an approval that should have been done back in like fucking May. Back in August at the latest, if you really want to. And now I get told that basically that 60-day thing means jack shit. Doesn't mean a damn thing. You know? I just have to hope that there's somebody there that has some fucking compassion and just approves him already, so we can move this along, so that he can have his interview, get approved there, and then come home. There's like one stipulation you have to have with getting this visa too, is that you have to have met each other within 2 years. It's almost 2 years ago since I met him the first time. So now we're nervous about that. If this drags on long enough to February, which is more time gone. His birthday missed. His experience with Thanksgiving missed. My birthday missed. Christmas missed. New Year's missed. And Valentine's Day missed, if it goes that far. We should have had those days with each other last year. All they needed to do was explain to him, look, this isn't how you immigrate to the country. If you buy a return ticket, we'll let you in. That's all they had to do. I would have bought a return ticket in a heartbeat, and then I could have seen him. We could have figured out how we had to do this. And then, sure, maybe he would have had to go home, but we could have had at least 3 months together. Instead of being apart almost 2 years, we could have only been apart 9 months. And then he would have gone home, maybe in January. He could have experienced all the holidays and birthdays here, you know, and then it only would have been maybe 10 months apart now, instead of almost 20. All I've been hoping for every day is that I get that email telling me, approved. It's being sent over here. He's gonna have to deal with his shit in England now. No. All because of one little fuck up and misunderstanding. I'm not saying it's not completely my fault. No, I take that back. I said that wrong. It's partially my fault, because we didn't bother researching how you're supposed to do this. We thought it was fairly simple. But I blame Philadelphia a lot, because all they had to do was bother telling us what was going on and explain to us what we did wrong. Because as long as he had the return ticket, that should have been fine, you know? And if he didn't get on the plane, then people could yell at us or something like that. But nobody said anything. For my safety. I'm the American citizen. I was expecting him here. Where is it my safety that you can't explain to me why the fuck you're sending him home? So now, it's constant waiting, and we've been at this almost a year. This is a man that I want to marry, a man that I want a family with. He has been with me through a lot of shit. He's been with me at my worst on just about every level. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. He's been with me through my mother's death. He's been with me at my fattest. He's been with me when my knees went to shit. You know, and he's been with me where I even thought about killing myself for a while. I did. So much depression with my mother, and just a bunch of other things that I thought about killing myself for a while. I looked around my room and thought about all the things my brother could sell. But just like when I didn't kill myself when my mother died, because that hit me so hard, I stay because I don't want my brother to be alone. And I know I had Dan, and I still do, and I love him very much. And it's the hope of finally getting to be with him and have that family that we want, and not wanting my brother to be alone, that I bothered staying. You know, we want to get married, we want to have a family, we want a son and a daughter, and we even have the names picked out. Jacob and Elizabeth. And these people are stopping us from having that. And we're stuck sitting here with our thumbs up our asses because we can't do anything. In the meantime, to break the tension of being apart for so long, I have bothered to go ahead and start the process of trying to get my passport so I can go see him. Which I wanted to do, like, last year, but my knees wouldn't let me. I couldn't walk, and I wanted to make a good first impression on his family. I have self-confidence issues to begin with, because of my body being fat. So to go over there and be fat and not be able to walk, I couldn't do it. But because I've lost over 30 pounds, I'm walking much better than I used to. I still can't walk far, but I can walk better. So to break up the time about being apart until somebody bothers to do their job and just let them in already, I'm gonna try and visit him. The soonest I keep figuring that could happen is maybe December. Maybe I could go there for my birthday, but I don't know. And that'd be cutting it close, because by then it'd be about 22 months since I saw him, and I'm almost scared that if I don't see him before February, that they're gonna deny him because it's been over 2 years since we've seen each other. This whole thing is ridiculous. For the love of God, if you have somebody in another country, do the damn research. Don't put yourself through this, because it's hell. You know how frustrating it is to have somebody in your life but feel so alone? It's very frustrating. And if you do have a relationship where you get to see the person, please appreciate that. I don't get to hold his hand. I don't get to sit with him on the couch and watch TV. I don't get to play video games with him. All I do is see a face through a screen and hear a voice through headphones. That's it. I don't get to sleep in the same bed as the man I'm gonna marry and have a family with. I don't get that. I haven't had anything like that in almost 2 years. And all these people are doing is just making that longer and longer, and it's not fair, and it's not right. I'm sorry we fucked up, okay? I'm sorry we didn't think to research any of this shit. I am sorry that we missed each other so much that we just wanted to be together. I am sorry. Will you please just approve him and let him come home? So that's what's going on. You know it costs $2,000 for a ticket to England? Shit, the expenses there. And that's only for like a 2-week stay. That's not the hotel. That's nothing. That's ticket. $2,000 for a ticket. Round trip ticket. We have no money for a hotel. We don't. Dan needs to hold on to everything he has so he can buy his ticket home. I'm hesitant to spend the $2,000. Yes, I have savings, but I wanted to hold on to it. It's savings. It's stuff for emergencies. This is actually becoming an emergency. So I don't know where we're gonna stay. I don't know if we're gonna stay at a friend's house, because Dan's room and bed is too small for 2 people. So we have to stay at somebody else's house. I don't know if it's gonna be his grandparents or a friend. But we can't afford a hotel. So we don't even get to be alone. Which I know that's not the important thing. The important thing is that we're together. I get it. But you still want alone time. You know? Still a couple. And the fact that Dan doesn't drive, so I'd have to walk or get driven everywhere. I don't know how good I'm gonna do on the walking. I'm gonna end up pushing myself. I seem to push myself more when I'm with him. It's so cliche, but he makes me want to be a better person. He wants me to treat myself as a better person. So I'd probably push myself harder. Being around him, walk further, even though I'm gonna be either out of breath and or in a considerable amount of pain. But I gotta do it for him. But I mean, hell, if anybody bothering to watch this and getting this far knows anybody at the Texas Service Center for immigration, I will happily give you our receipt number and you can ask this person just to approve him and get this shit going already. Because even if they approve him this week, I'm expecting it to take anywhere from another 2 to 3 months for him to get his stuff done. Because I don't know how long it takes to get to the new center and then to get sent over to London. Okay, but I figure at least from London, once it gets there, which could be God knows how long it takes to get there, it would take them about maybe 2 months, I would imagine, to get his stuff done. If not less, hopefully. So even if they approve him now, I don't think he could make it home until after New Year's at this point. And that's at the soonest. At the beginning of this, we had hoped he'd be home by, based on what Stan told me, I thought January. And then when that didn't happen, I thought, okay, maybe May. June. Didn't happen. I thought, okay, August he could be home. No. Now we were just hoping for Halloween. That sure as fuck ain't happening. Then we were starting to hope by his birthday, November 12th. No. I don't see that one happening. Now it's become he could be home before my birthday, December 8th. I don't see that one happening either. What's the next one? Christmas? That he could be home before Christmas? It's really starting to feel unlikely. So yeah. That is my half-hour rant about this whole thing. Congratulations if you made it to the end of the video. I wish I had a cookie to give you. If you're in any type of relationship, especially one in person, appreciate that you get to see them in person and do things with them in person. If you are in a long-distance relationship, you can appreciate this frustration and pain. And for the love of God, do your research. When you decide as a couple which country you want to live in, do the research. Don't go through this shit. Do not go through this shit like him and I are having to. As much as that relationship is worth everything to you, because it is to me, it's not worth this. We've almost broken up because I can't handle this anymore. But Dan keeps holding on to me. He doesn't want to let me go, and I couldn't ask for something better. So we're in a lot of pain, but we're making it work. So yeah. I guess all I can do is keep asking what I've been asking of our friends, just for the love of God. Just pray, hope, sacrifice a goat, I don't care, whatever belief you have, whatever religion you are, just pray, hope, cross your fingers, anything, that he can just get this approval and come home. Please. I love you so much, Dan, and I want you home more than anything. I love you.